you're at home right now listening to this, it's not. We look at time like, I still remember, I almost blew my life because my friends could get me union jobs, whether it was longshoreman jobs, brick mason's job. But when they tell me it was a 4-year apprenticeship, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'll do a 4-week apprenticeship, and I want to get paid like all these motherfuckers on here, because you don't see that kind of time in your life. But once you're there and you're like, I've been doing this shit for 10 years. 10 years is the sweet spot in comedy.
And that's like when I was watching the show and I was getting upset watching Last Comic Standing. I go, well, I should have started. I should have done it then, and I should have done it now. And then I'm like, you know what, Tara? 10 years from now, you're going to say, I wish I started then. And I'm going to go, oh my God, why didn't, I said, so just start. It's you just have to start. It sounds so cliche and corny, but it's like, you just have to start.
Well, that's why when people come to me and they go, hey man, listen, there's 2 things everybody hates to hear. Are you going to join jiu-jitsu? No, let me get in shape to come in there. You're never going to get in shape. It's like people trying to tell me I'm not going to join the gym till I get in shape.
Right.
And with stand-up, when people call me, if you paid me $500 and said, Joey, I want you to give me an hour tutoring, I go, how about I give you $475 back and I'll take $25 for the best advice I could give you. Don't even worry about your material the first 2 or 3 times on stage. Don't even worry about it. Go up there and tell me a story about your cat. I'd rather you do that than be up there clunky. I just want you to get over the mechanics of it. I focused a lot on my words, and it almost cost me my career because I kept saying, I'm not going to go up until I write. Right. Well, you're not going to fucking write.
Right.
You've never written before. What makes you think you're going to become fucking Lenny Bruce now? Get up there. I tell people all the time, just go up there. You're going to, 80% chances are you're going to bomb. And it's not going to really matter. Nobody's ever going to remember it. I don't care if you go up on an open mic at a bar, whatever's easy for you, karaoke, they all count. Get up there.
The only way to get good is to be bad.
Yeah.
I learned, if I had a great night and killed, I learned more from a night when I didn't. I never say I killed, so at 10 years, I still don't say I ever killed. But if I had a great night, if I had a bad night, of course, the next morning, I'm like, I'm quitting, this isn't for me. You don't quit. But I learned so much more from those nights.
I would never quit. I would just tell myself that I was a piece of shit, that what made me think I could ever do this. And then you go, okay, I'll give this another month. And if you don't fucking make it work, I'm done with you, comedy. And then something good happens.
That's what happened. I would get into a place where I'd be like, how am I doing this with my life? I'm giving everything up for this, to pursue this dream. And then you'd have a bad night. You'd be like, I'm not a comic. This isn't for me. And then boom, you get something, or you get it. And you're like, it's like it takes one good night to erase 30 bad. And then you're right back. You're right back into the like, I can do this.
Now think about it. If people are at home right now watching this, that conversation you just said, you think you're crazy. If you said that to me 30 years ago, I'm like, you're fucking crazy. I got to have 30 bad nights to have one good night? You're fucking crazy. But explain to them how good that night is.
That one good one night, it's like I found who I am. Like I know what I'm meant to do. And it's like an actualization. Like you can't really explain it. It's just like, this is who I am. Like, and you find yourself in that night. And you go, this is it. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to feel this again. And then, of course, it's a different level of chase when you get to a certain level. When you one great night, great. But I should have been, you start going, where you want to be, like where I wanted to be 10 years ago. Now I'm not as grateful as maybe I should be, right? Because now I'm looking at the next 10 years. So you kind of really humble yourself in these times. And I got to say, this is where I wanted to be. This is exactly what I wanted to do. Be happy with where you are now. But it's hard when you get into this. But those good nights, man, it's the best feeling in the world. That's why I'm here.
I want to write another book about like that experience. Like I didn't really dive into it in my book, like that experience from 1991 to 2000. If I look at my life, those were the best 9 years of my life. And I slept in cars. I had to borrow money to do showcases. The one club gave me 6 weeks of work, and then a month later they shut all the clubs down after I drove 14 hours each way. You know, you don't want to tell this to people but it's all part of this fucking thing that's so close to your heart when you really, really look at it. Like, you know, traveling the states and meeting different people, like being stuck in a town and somebody helps you and you're like, the world is a fucking vampire. You know what I'm saying? Like, the world is a great place that people will come to your help, even when, and dog, nobody knew who I was. When I was getting $50 in the triple runs, a show, no, you know, nobody even acknowledges you, okay? You're the guy under the headliner. And I still wouldn't trade it in for anything else. I still remember sleeping in hotels where it was owned by Hindu people, and you could smell the curry coming into the vents all night and shit like that. And the whole hotel smell, you know, I can't, but it's all part of the fucking, the experience. Like when you look at it, getting to Rock Springs, Wyoming, and the hotel saying we only got one room, you got to spend the night with the headliner in the same room, and he's snoring and he hates LA, you know, and he's one of those fucking negative headliners. These are all that's all part of who you are. Like, this is what's on my sleeve now.
And you need that thick skin in this industry, and that makes you stronger, that makes you tougher. Like, you...
Listen, that thick skin is going to go with you forever. You need to rip the scab off your soul and build it back, because it's going to come in handy in 15 years. It's going to come in handy in 20 years. And that's what a lot of people, everybody's in such a rush. They miss those early steps. And then you're going to have to go back. So do them now. That's why my motto has always been, you could pay me now, or you could pay me later. I didn't invent it. Pennzoil did in the fucking 80s. If you don't change your oil in your car.
And this is a word from our sponsor.
And this is a word from our sponsor.
Pennzoil.
But it's the truth. And I know for a fact it goes with comedy. Because let me tell you what's happening with comedy today.
I know what he's going to say.
Fucking, and you know this. What's happening with comedy today, and I have nothing against these people, is that a guy makes a video on YouTube.
Social media.
Then he makes another video on YouTube. Then he makes another video on YouTube. He gets like 10 million downloads. Now somebody just says to him, you should just do stand-up. Well, I don't know how it happens. You know, it could happen that way, or they are doing stand-up online, cracking little jokes, and then they start going into clubs. And they go into clubs with a following.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have a following. I'll never forget, David Tell came up to me in Miami one night, and he goes, dog, I like what you're doing as a feature act, because you are building a following. Because when you do hit later on, these people are going to feel responsible. They saw you, and they're going to come out and see you even more. And it's the truth.
It is.
Whenever I go to Miami or those places, Houston, people come up to me and go, I remember seeing you open for Rogan in '98 when you took your dick out and you chased the fucking penguin across the, you know. And
how could they forget?
How could they forget?
No, but it's true.
All that builds, and people don't know that. So this YouTube sensation that you got, he's got 30 million. He sells out the Improv.
Yeah.
And this is all great, but he's performing in front of his crowd. He's performing in front of his own people. He never won one over.
Right.